This episode is brought to you by DistroKid. Hey, have you heard? I'm going back to Las Vegas and the Punk Rock Museum to give guided tours. This happens to coincide with the When We Were Young Festival. I'll be there over the course of 4 days, October 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. 2 tours a day, one at 1:30 p.m. and one at 4:30 p.m. These tours will sell out. Space is limited, so grab your tickets now at thepunkrockmuseum.com. I got stories for days, and I can't wait to share them with you. So don't miss your chance to walk the halls of the museum and share punk rock memories with me. Head over to thepunkrockmuseum.com and get your tickets now. See you soon. Hey everyone, for today's episode, we have a very special guest, and it's only taken 5.5 years to get him on the show. I'm talking about none other than Chris Fafalios, bassist and vocalist from the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania rock band Punchline. And you know him as our trusted producer and co-host here on Chris DeMakes A Podcast. Chris and I break down the writing, recording, and inspiration of the brand new Punchline single, Focus on Yourself, taken from their brand new album, Somewhere to Land. This track is impressive. All 5 band members sing on the song, with Chris taking lead on most of the tune. The initial inspiration for the song came from Steve, who had introduced Chris to a song by a band called Gang of Youths. This initial seed was all it took to inspire Chris to write Focus on Yourself. The production team of John Brown and John Smith is a powerhouse. Sonically, this sounds as good as anything going right now. And Chris put it best when he said that the rest of the band and himself still get the utmost joy out of creating music together. That's very cool and evident. So for all this and a mid-song outburst of flamenco guitar, stick around.
Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes A Podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes A Podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes A Podcast. Hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes A Podcast.
All right, Chris, this is a bit embarrassing that it's taken 5.5 years to get you on your own show.
I've been pretty nervous about this for some reason.
Really? Well, I meant to go look back this morning. Maybe I don't think it was in 20. I want to say we broke down Universe with Steve in 21.
Yeah, that's right. It was like one of the first 30 or 40 episodes.
Right.
So it was basically 5 years ago.
Right. So we have had Steve on, Steve Sabozley, guitarist, one of the lead vocalists. And I say one of the lead vocalists because this song's interesting. We're going to talk about today, Focus on Yourself, because you take, the predominant lead in the track, but we get Steve in this song, and we also get Paul, your other guitarist, who sings on the track, and we're going to, of course, dive into all of that. The song is the 10th and final track on the new Punchline album. The album is called Somewhere to Land, your 10th record. 10 albums.
Yeah. That's pretty wild to think. I mean, we are serious lifers, I think, at this point. When you're putting out your 10th album and you've been a band for 28 years, I think we can safely say we're lifers.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that you wrote the song a couple of years ago, and I want to ask you, for this song, speaking just for this track, what was the initial seed? Was it a lyric? Was it a melody? Or was it a chord? Do you remember where you were at, where you were like, bingo, this is the idea, this is the seed, and what was that?
With this one, which I believe that I made the original demo in 2018 or 2019, I had sent you a track. Steve had sent me a song by this band that we both love called Gang of Youths.
Right.
They're an Australian band. They use a lot of orchestral elements in their recordings and stuff. But at the time, they were new to me. It was a song called Magnolia, and it's the first song I'd ever heard by them.
I've savored the last, and I've kissed a goodbye. There's no kind of right way to do what I do, but I'm king.
And I think that just like you probably experienced, Chris, when you have a Logic session open, you have a world of sounds in front of you, to the point where I remember when I first got it, Did you ever see that movie Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story? That's like,
of course.
there's the part where it's supposed to be like the Brian Wilson part, where he has this studio full of people playing like didgeridoos, and like there's like 50 musicians, and it's like just this crazy thing where he just like is going over the top.
It's still not finished yet. I'm hearing more Aboriginal percussionists. And I want an army of didgeridoos. 50,000 didgeridoos.
Folks, can we have a moment with Dewey?
Well, I feel like when I first got Logic, I did that in certain songs. I'm using every instrument just because it's available to me and just like trying all this stuff. And eventually I realized, like, yo, just do bass, guitar, maybe one synth and some programmed drums or whatever and make a song. But after I heard this Gang of Youth song, I was inspired once again to open a Logic session and not be afraid to just use whatever sounds were available to me. And I convinced myself, hey, it's cool, just try that.
Slow down and focus on yourself for a while.
And I think the seed of the song started with a drum beat and then putting some of those synth strings in as the basis for the song.
I went back and listened to the track, and you had mentioned in your notes, you're like, I don't really know if this sounds anything like it. I can hear the similarities in the sonics of the synth, of what you were going for compared to what they were doing. I can definitely hear that. And of course I do. I guess that was the initial inspiration, but what was the lyrical seed? I know you said you were kind of going through some stuff back then, and you didn't think that it was autobiographical, but the more that time has went on, you're kind of like going, I think I was writing this about myself. And we've heard that from other guests here.
Well, what's funny about it is at the time, I know because it was 2018 or 2019 in that area, there's a few friends and family members who are going through some things. And I was writing this song as sort of a lyrical letter to them or something. But what's funny is like a year or two later, and now when I look back on it, it so relates to myself that it's almost like I was inadvertently writing a future song to my future self, if that makes sense. It worked out that way. And I think we've heard guests on the show say something like that before too.
No, I was going to say that. And I've felt that before. Mm-hmm. There's been lyrics that, there was lyrics that Vinny wrote that years ago that I sing to this day that I'm like, did he write that about me?
Right.
When you spend a lot of time with somebody, as you know, in a band, those feelings and those things can come to light. But, as far as a grandiose production, and let's talk about the producers. One of them is John Brown. You call him JB.
Right.
He used to front the band called Bright and Early, and the other one is John Smith. And how did you get these guys to work together, or do they work together as a production team?
They had done some work together before, but I think this was like the first big project they'd worked on together. Now, John Smith, it's so funny, Chris. We knew John. He was from like the York, PA area. Uh-huh. We knew him since he was 18 years old because we needed a merch guy in like 2006. We were about to go on tour with No Use for a Name and I Am the Avalanche. We needed a merch guy. We're all in our mid-20s, and he was just someone that knew of us and was available, didn't know us at all, got in the van with us and did merch for us. We had no idea really of his background or anything.
Of course you didn't. There was no budget for this guy. It's like, Hey, he's mid-20s. He has no plan in life. Get in the van, right?
Yeah, he was 18 at the time. So he was basically just out of high school, and he jumps in the van with a bunch of people. We had no idea that he was also like very talented. He just jumped in the van and had an adventure with us, and then we became friends forever because that very mild-mannered, polite kid at the time who became this, who I think is a very talented mixer and producer. And JB, he fronted the band bright and early. Amazing singer and songwriter, JB is. And also the kind of guy who wasn't afraid to speak his mind and maybe piss people off sometimes. And for some reason, us as a band always kind of got along with those kind of people when we met them along the way because we thought they were funny or something.
Yeah, usually people like that. I found that too with my band. People are like, oh, I don't trust these guys, and those are the bands we or guys that we usually would get along with.
Right. And I love JB, but he would sometimes just speak his mind and piss people off. That I love you, JB, if you're listening, but you did that sometimes and maybe still do it. But these guys together as a team, I think they're awesome.
Well, yeah, and I think the production's great. I had just asked a lot of times, and it's interesting, and it depends who they are, but we've wanted to work with two producers before, and they didn't want to work together. We've encountered that. I've known other bands that have encountered that. Sometimes it's like, no, this is my kingdom. I'm not going to do this. Although it sounds like this was one of maybe the bigger projects for these guys, and they kind of wanted to do it to maybe get their name out there and to be able to work with you guys, and it's awesome. I can't wait to start combing through this.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I think they butted heads during this process too. There were certain songs that were recorded out at the studio that John Smith is part of called the Kaleidoscope in Lancaster, PA. Awesome studio. Some of the songs on the album we tracked there and had the pre-production process with and stuff. This one was more, everybody in my band, all five of us, minus me, are actual music producers who have been paid to be a producer, not only, not just producing their own work, but producing for other bands as well. So I'm the only person out of the five who isn't a producer as well in the band. And so you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen with this. And this was one of the tracks where we sort of took the pre-production role and tracked a lot in our own studios along the way, which we can get into that. But
yeah, you had sent the couple the demos. The first was like a drum machine, just a rough demo that you had done. Then there was a like a recording with the band that sounded decent. It was a demo though, that I believe that was the one that had Steve singing.
Right.
And then of course the final version, and the album just came out this past Friday, September 12th. So definitely check it out. And I want to get into the song here in a second, Chris, and just, how did it come about that you were the guy that was going to sing this? I know the band was kind of pushing for it. I think it's cool because I love the three voices here, but it's not enough to make me go, oh my gosh, what voice just came in? There's a cohesiveness with this track, and the demos were interesting. The first demo that you sent, you were just kind of trying to find your way and find the melody, and it gave me like almost a Weezer vibe on your first demo with your vocal delivery. And then when I heard Steve's version, that demo, it kind of gave me like a Postal Service Death Cab kind of vibe with his vocal delivery.
Dancing on a cliff. You need a time out. You need a rest before your mind just slips away.
And this is not even in the middle of both of those. It kind of went somewhere else.
I really find satisfaction in writing songs, and I never feel the need on the final recording for me to sing them. In fact, a lot of times I would prefer someone else sing it so then I can enjoy the song without thinking and being self-conscious about my performance of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I suggested that Steve or someone else sing lead on the song. So that's why that one demo, Steve sang it, but then he didn't want to sing it and he insisted that I did. And I don't know why that is. Maybe he felt like it wasn't written to his vocal strengths, or maybe he felt like since it came out of me that I could sing it with more conviction. I don't really know, because I think that he sounds good on the demo. And also, it's part of why I wanted to get Paul involved on the second verse and second pre-chorus and stuff too.
Well, it's interesting. Paul's voice is very similar to Steve's. It kind of takes up that same kind of range. I mean, you can tell they're different, but your voice is a little more, a little lower register, just a tad bit more gruff, and but everything here together, especially with all the backing vocals, which it's hard to discern what's going on there. There's a lot here, and we're going to get into it right now. It's 3 minutes and 48 seconds. One of the last things you had written in the notes was, we decided on this as the closing track because of the epic feel to it. Did we go over the top on this one? ? Kitchen sink ? Yeah, maybe. Well, as far as the kitchen sink, Chris, it starts off with the chorus progression. There's a bit of low-end warbly noise for about a second before a dun-dun-dun, this big drum tom fill and a round of the guitars that takes us into 16 bars of an intro. But what is this low-end warbly noise I'm hearing?
I knew you were going to ask about that. And this morning, I was texting everybody like, did we put that in? Did John and JB put that in? I don't remember where this low rumble came from that starts the song off. I think John and JB are responsible for that, to just add this sort of the floor is shaking sort of start to the song. It's not an 808 drop, but it has that sort of effect where it would make your car rumble or something at the beginning of this song.
Yeah, it doesn't take your head off. Right. It's kind of subtle, but it's definitely there. And then we get into, like I said, 16 bars of what is the chorus progression. The kitchen sink, it's all in drums, bass, stereo guitars, and I mentioned in my notes here, Chris, the stereo guitars are a bit hard to discern in terms of how big they are, distortion dirty wise versus clean, because man, there's a ton of synths. It sounds like maybe there's a sub bass synth running here along with your bass. Your bass has some distortion or something on it.
Right.
It's not a clean tone. So there's a ton happening here. We get synths up the middle, left and right, playing the string arrangements. And I swear it sounds like there's horn stabs in here. There's some lower strings, or maybe there is. And when I say strings, these are all synths, but were there any horns in there that were played like stabs, or is it all what we would call string violin type of instruments?
It's all string synths. And Paul and I sat in his home studio trying to find, because I had this idea of the pizzicato feel strings, and we tried a bunch of different ones and just couldn't find the right thing. They were always a little bit behind the beat or something, like a little bit, I guess the word would be legato, where they kind of didn't hit right on the beat.
Yes.
And I really wanted that. I really wanted them to feel like plucked and struck and stabbing, and not really played out sort of thing. Chris, it's funny that I just recently, I think it was in the past week or two, I don't know if it was The Hard Times or The Onion or something, had this this headline that was aging musician enters the part of his career where he wants to play with an orchestra behind him or something. And I was like, oh, that's how I feel. When I know we're creating this with synths, but I always picture oh, if people like this song, I would love to play it with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra or something. But
yeah.
I feel like I've always been in there because I've been a fan of Ben Folds and people for a long time. So I don't think it's because I'm aging. I think it's because it's always what I've fantasized about,
Well, I think that's cool though that you did talk about how you want it to be stabby, because that's what's making me feel like there's horns there, and it's not like the piercing high end of a trumpet or so. I'm talking lower brass instruments of a baritone sax or something of that nature. It's a really cool quality here, and again, like I said, we're all in from the get-go. So there's no building this song in the traditional sense of like, oh, it's a really soft intro, soft verse, where you get to this big chorus, which you just start off with everything here. It's just hitting you off the top, but it does break down here into verse 1.
This branch was made to break, and it's all in how you deal, and it's more than just a sound, and it's more than what you feel. No reason that you're here, but you could surely use a lift when you're singing to the clouds, and you're dancing on a cliff.
This branch was made to break, and it's all in how you deal, and it's more than just a sound, and it's more than what you feel. No reason that you're here, but you could surely use a lift when you're singing to the clouds and you're dancing on a cliff.
Basically, the whole overarching theme of the song is kind of like dealing with stress. And I think that's where the whole branch was made to break metaphor came from. I had this image in my head of, be it a tree house on a branch or a tire swing on a branch, and just picturing it bending, and relating that to a person and how you feel inside, the pressure and stress of life. Like you could only bend so far before you break. And then as far as like it's more than just a sound, I think I'm relating that to the tree once again, and the old, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? I think in some aspect, I was relating that to something that's bothering you inside and not doing anything about it. Will anyone know? And when I break, is anyone gonna know? Does that make sense? It makes sense to me when I was writing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely see that. I mean, the thing about this lyric is, it's uplifting. I mean, I think anybody likes the thought or the suggestion of taking stock of yourself, but it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, I mean, always. It's like nearly impossible. It's like when someone says to you, What are you stressed about? Why?
Yeah.
Just who cares?
Just calm down.
Yeah. It doesn't work. You can say it to someone else because the problem. You want to be like, what do you mean you're stressed about work? Just relax or whatever. But you can't do that. And I think that's like even the second part of this verse. There's the line, no reason that you're here, but you could surely use a lift. I think that I was going a little bit beyond the metaphor there because I'm not a religious person, and I like to think of myself as a man of science, and that it's all like a cosmic coincidence that we're here. There's no like higher plan for you, so you're responsible for yourself. You either take care of yourself and deal with this stress, or you die from it. I think that to not to be morbid, but I think that's what I'm getting at. And I think in the last line, when you're singing to the clouds and you're dancing on a cliff, I just pictured in my head someone walking along the edge of the cliff, and they're not paying attention to their feet, and they're looking up at the clouds. Basically, I know I just said not religious, but the whole idea of Jesus take the wheel here, like whatever's going to happen's going to happen. And there's this song by The Streets called On the Edge of a Cliff. It's from this album, Everything Is Borrowed. And he has this whole scene he paints in that song where it's an old man comes up to a young man who's standing on the edge of the cliff, probably getting ready to kill himself, to jump off this cliff. And the thing that he says to him is basically like, hey, everything that's ever happened, all your ancestors for billions of years, your mom and your dad, everything culminated in you existing at this moment. And just think about that, basically, because that's a That's a nice thought.
Billions of years since the outset of time, every single one of your ancestors survived. Every single person on your mum and dad's side successfully looked after and passed on to you life. What are the chances of that like? It comes to me once in a while, and everywhere I tell folk it gets the best smile.
I don't know if I'm getting too much on a tangent here, but I do think that all these things were in my head when I was writing this verse.
Okay, well, as much stuff is going on in the intro, which is the chorus progression, when we get into the verse, it does break down here, and we get this spacey electronic sound that runs underneath the whole verse here, along with guitar, with lots of effects. Bass and synths are all here. We get harmonies on more than just a sound and more than what you feel. They're harmonies that are panned left and right. They're great backing vocal placement in space within the mix here. I love what they're doing, and they're pretty loud. They're not like this backing vocal. They're nice and present. And right after that, we get these ooh vocal pads that sit over the next 3 lines here. Again, those are panned left and right. The drum groove in this first verse is awesome. I love, it's almost like a cut beat that's happening here. Corey's drumming is so good. We get another harmony on Singing to the Clouds, along with these vocals that come in there, panned left and right with a synth. And we also get a harmony on Dancing on a Cliff. And then right after that, Chris, you guys do this, it's like a call and response backing vocal. It's a distorted, filtered vocal that says Dancing on a Cliff there before we get into pre-chorus 1 here. I love the scene change there. Again, huge intro, breaks down here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. That spacey electronic sound that's going underneath her, I wanted to ask you, did you hear that at any point, or was that something that came up in the mix? You're like, whoa, what's that?
That, I had something similar to that in the demo, and I'm like, wait, we got to have that in there. And that's another thing I remember sitting with Paul and recreating in his studio. And also, I wanted to mention a lot of these harmonies in here, Trev just like killed it. From early on in the mixes, there was just a lot of Trev harmonies, and Trev provided, in the original demo, I played guitar as like a single string sort of thing, and he made it sound a lot more like a Spanish guitar would be the best way to describe that, sort of like a single string. Is flamenco the right word?
Oh, well, that's the word I use. We'll get to that lick, because that lick comes in later.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That part is really cool. But after Dancing on a Cliff, that process vocal comes in. We get into pre-chorus 1.
You need a time out. You need a rest before your mind just slips away. You need a time out. You need a rest. If you're ever gonna listen now.
You need a time out. You need a rest before your mind just slips away. Oh, you need a timeout? You need a rest. If you're ever going to listen now.
I mean, I think when I wrote the song, I wanted that to be like a direct plea to the friends and family members who I had in mind who were really like going through it. But when I listen to it now, like I said, how it feels like it's about myself, it sounds more like some sort of like daily affirmation or mantra that I would repeat to myself or something. I hear a lot, Chris, about meditating. Have you ever meditated?
Yeah, I have. Maybe not in the sense that other people meditate. I've certainly never taken any classes on it, but yeah, I've tried to quiet my mind. I'm not great at it.
I'm terrible at it. I can't do it. The only way I can do it, and I've talked to you about this before, and I think maybe you might experience this too. I get stressed and kind of overwhelmed, and sometimes I might be on the edge of like snapping at somebody, and I'll be like, I need to get on the treadmill and run for half an hour and just get completely sweaty and lost in my mind. And I think that's kind of like my personal meditation. I'm not saying that would work for everybody, but that's what works for me, is to like put that level of like, to where the point where I'm soaked, put that level of whatever on myself to get through that or whatever, which is why I have to do it every day. And when it comes to the song, I would hope that someone listening to this, if that part is catchy to them or resonates to them or whatever sticks in their mind, that it would be a reminder, like, you're not going to be good to anyone else in the world if you're not good to yourself first.
Right on. Well, pre-chorus 1, I just mentioned there's a ton of stuff going on here. It breaks down even further than the verse. The main guitar is playing a palm-muted, heavily delayed guitar hook. Wouldn't feel out of place on a Police record or Mighty Mighty Boss Tones record. That reverbed delayed guitar, it's really cool. In addition to bass, there's also a noodly little guitar panned off left and another one panned off right. And they're kind of riffing off one another along with those synths panned off left and right. The drums on the first half of pre-chorus 1, it's just kick and hi-hat. We get harmonies on You Need a Rest. We get a harmony on the second You Need a Rest. And there's also halfway through these vocal pads that come in, and then they're in there for the rest of pre-chorus 1. On the back half, the snare comes in on the drums. So lots of elements, lots of things happening. And I love the last line because the melody goes up here and then it goes low again on now, on listen now. It kind of rests back down before it lifts here into the chorus. And the chorus, it comes in at 1 minute and 14 seconds. Okay, get to the chorus, don't bore us, whatever the saying is. But you've heard this grandiose piece of music, albeit without the vocals at the top of the song. So I feel like we've already been to the chorus in a sense. You know, when you get here, it's familiar, but now you got this lead vocal that is awesome.
Thanks, man. I'm glad you heard the little bit. You said Police. I think in a lot of our songs, we're obviously not like a ska punk band, but obviously are often influenced by that. That was some of the first music we loved, your band and a lot of bands from that world. And I do you remember that band, The Exit? I always think about that band, The Exit.
Yeah, I saw them in Cleveland one time. We had a night off years ago. There was a big buzz on that band. I remember going to check them out.
They were kind of like a Police style band. So when we have parts like this, that is sometimes what I'm thinking, is like this slight bit of like reggae, ska influence without, it doesn't have the upstrokes and stuff, but there is that feel to it. I was just happy that you kind of heard that a little bit. If you,
oh yeah, absolutely. And I had mentioned it. You know, we've already been here in a sense. It starts off with the chorus, right. So yeah, we're at 1 minute and 14 in the song, but there's a familiarity here. Slow down and focus on yourself. You got to focus on yourself for a while. Slow down and focus on yourself. You got to focus on yourself for a while. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory with what we've heard before. And I like that about a chorus, man. There's times when, and I like this lyric because there's no ambiguity with it.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes a chorus has to be, we will rock you, you know, focus on yourself, have something you can rally behind. I'm a fan of choruses that have tons of words too, but this seems a little more singular to me.
Yeah. Also, I didn't want anyone to like misinterpret this song as you should be selfish, you know, like just think about yourself. Don't worry about anyone else. I think more the message that I wanted to convey, or what I meant from it, is that you got to take care of yourself first, because then You're not going to be able to take care of anything or anyone else if you don't take care of yourself first. You're going to be useless. If you're a mess, you can't help anyone else. It's almost like now when you get wrapped up in all the bad things in the world and you're stressed and you're doom scrolling on your phone or something, you should be aware of everything that's going on. And if you can help someone else, you should. But if you don't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to do that.
Of course. I never got that. I didn't interpret that from these lyrics at all, that it was being selfish. That wasn't the first thing on my mind. It was just, no, you got to, kind of the old dig deep from within. We're going to say it again. Kitchen sink is in from the top here on the chorus. The intensity of the strings here, it's like the back half of the intro. The strings are kind of subdued at the top of the song, but here they're just raging like at the top of the song on the back half. It's so catchy. Something happens here in chorus 1 that doesn't happen again, and I'm trying to figure out why. This almost seems like a backing vocal for the third chorus. You'd save this till the end of the song, and when we get there, there's probably a reason why this wasn't there, because there's already so much going on. But on the third line, you got to focus on yourself. On the focus on yourself, there's a backing vocal. I can't discern what it's saying here exactly. Can't take this out, embrace it.
Dude,
I don't know what it's saying.
I knew you were going to ask about that. And this morning, I texted the band. I'm like, who is singing that background vocal right there? And what is being said? And nobody could answer it. All 5 of us sing on this song. I can't tell if that's Trev or Corey. I think it's probably Trev singing that. And I got no answer. It sounds like the last line of it is like, I hear the word crazy in there, and I honestly don't have the answer for it. This is the problem, Chris, when you have 5 different people with the session open and everyone's contributing.
Well, in all fairness, too, there's a distortion on it. It's pushed back in the mix. It's kind of hard to discern with, there's a lot going on here. We got those synths, we got those stereo guitars, the bass, the drums are rocking away here. But it says something about embracing it at the end. At least it sounds like that to me. But I thought that was interesting. It wasn't anywhere else in the song. And I hear some vocal pads and delays running under the main vocals here in chorus 1. And again, there's a lot going on. Is there any percussion? I hear maybe a shaker here. I don't hear tambourines, but I hear almost pan to the right, like something kind of going against the drum groove a little bit.
Absolutely. It's funny that we all 5 of us, like I said, this song was more in our hands. And when we send the tracks over to John and JB, it is a lot of stuff. And we could be like, hey, you pick and choose what you think, what you think is best for the song. And I will tell you, Corey always provides a lot of percussion. So if you're hearing that, it is definitely intentional.
I thought it sounded foolish. It's always been around.
Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying this episode with me as the guest, but we got to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of ShopPay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit lowes.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
If you thought goldenly breaded McDonald's chicken couldn't get more golden, think Golder, because new sweet and smoky special edition gold sauce is here. Made for your chicken favorites. At participating McDonald's for a limited time.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The American work ethic demands a hard-working power grid. For nearly 140 years, Siemens Energy has been driving America's energy expansion. Our expertise and broad portfolio supports a stronger energy system. Today, our equipment helps generate 25% of U.S. electricity. From coast to coast, Siemens Energy is building a more robust and reliable U.S. grid. Let's make tomorrow different today. Learn more at SiemensEnergy.com.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Bustin' with the Boys is here to let you know that every college football Saturday, FanDuel is dropping profit boosts that can turn wins into bigger wins.
Sounds like we should rename Saturday Booster Day.
Nice.
21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Comcast is committed to bringing access to the internet to all Americans, including rural communities across the country, like Sussex County, Delaware.
We were being left behind. Everybody around us seemed to have internet, but we did not. High-speed internet is one of those good things that we needed to help us move our farming, our small businesses, our recreation forward.
Learn more about how we're bringing our next-generation network to more people across the country at ComcastCorporation.com/investment in America.
Hey everyone, Chris DeMakes here, and I've got some exciting news. Chris DeMakes A Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at ChrisDeMakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalios and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Chris DeMakes A Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at ChrisDeMakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at The After Party.
I will wait as long as it takes for you, wherever you are.
And now, back to the show.
Verse 2, some cool stuff happening here. A lot of the same instrumentation from verse 1. Drums, bass. The loop from verse 1 is now mixed with a single piano sounding synth panned off left and like this crackly delayed guitar noise panned off right. Halfway through verse 2, we get that what I'm calling a flamenco flutter guitar that's following the chord progression. It's just trilling on a note, and trilling means taking your pick and ding, 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 back and forth. But it's following the chord progression, so it's like staying on one note, then it's changing to the next note, but just trilling that one note. Adds a really cool texture and feel here. We get a backing vocal, "You Gotta Let It Go," with harmonies panned off left and right on the back half here. And on the end, the last line, "In the end, don't weigh that much." There's a very subtle harmony there before we get into pre-chorus 2. Paul sings the lead on this verse.
It's an inevitable situation when you're holding in frustration, and it'll seep out through your skin and poison everything you touch. Sometimes you gotta let it go before it puts you in the ground, and the things that weigh us down in the end don't weigh that much.
It's an inevitable situation when you're holding in frustration, and it'll seep out through your skin and poison everything you touch. Sometimes you gotta let it go before it puts you in the ground, and the things that weigh us down, in the end, don't weigh that much.
I'll start by saying I really wanted to get Paul's voice involved in this song. He rejoined the band when we were part way through the recording of this album, And I've always loved his voice. And I thought, first of all, it'd be really cool to get him to sing this. And I think he sang it great. Both of these verses, I feel like they're, the way I would describe it is like you're in a different room. If that makes sense, like there's like a different feeling in this room. And like you said, that different synth sound, that was another thing that I wanted to make sure that Paul and I recreated in his studio. I love the flamenco style guitar here. And as far as the lyrics go, I think it's kind of self-explanatory here. When you're holding something in and not letting it out, it's just going to affect everything else. You're going to get mad at other people. You're going to be shitty with other people. You're not going to be the best version of yourself. One thing I really do like about this verse too, and I know it's such a silly thing, but the first line, it's an inevitable situation. That word inevitable is such a fun word syllabically out of your mouth, inevitable, that I just think there's sort of like a rhythmic aspect to that word that I like.
Yeah, it was hard for me to almost read just now. It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, but it feels good when you say it, inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's true. If you're going through something and you're pushing it down, it's going to bleed into everything else you do, and it's just going to poison everything, right? I've been the person who's perpetuated that before, and I've also been the person on the receiving end of that before. You can't be at your best when you're letting the stress or frustration get the best of you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's even more evident here in verse 2. We get harmonies on seep out through your skin. Everything you touch, and I already mentioned that last line in the end, don't weigh that much, a very subtle harmony. And then we get into pre-chorus 2. Same lyrics here as pre-chorus 1, but Paul sings the lead here. Paul's vocal delivery is a little different than yours, Chris, here, and the reverb delay on his voice is huge. Yeah. So this whole section, again, it's a pre-chorus. The lyrics the same, but I'll use your analogy. It feels like we're in a different room here. The delay on the vocal is killer.
Don't weigh that much. You need a time out. You need a rest before your mind just slips away.
Again, the drums cut to kick and hat for the first half, goes to the snare on the second half. Right after Before Your Mind Just Slips Away, the synth pattern changes here, and it is great. Halfway through, those ooh-ah vocals are here again until the end of pre-chorus 2. We get harmonies on You Need a Rest, and if you're ever going to listen now. It's a great harmony, and it's an amazing lift on Listen Now into chorus 2, that harmony that happens there. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was important to change some things up about the melodies here and to build the song. Yeah, and now it goes up into the chorus.
No, and I love it because now in chorus 2, your vocal comes back in. So that makes it to me sound fresh again. Not that I was, you're sick of Paul's vocal by then, but I think it's really cool. And it's almost, again, I know what's going on here, and I know you can relate to this. When we were kids, we'd hear songs on the radio, and it wasn't until years later you realize, oh, the verses was this guy, and the chorus was the other guy. There is definitely, I said it from the top, there's definitely a continuity with all 5 of your voices here. Chorus 2, same thing again, same lyrics, most of the same overall instrumentation as chorus 1, but I feel like there's more padded vocals here than chorus 1, Chris. Like things have really built here. They're a little bit louder. Here on the third line, you got to focus on yourself. We get a filtered vocal. It's on the third line placement here, not the fourth. We don't get that call and response vocal from the first chorus that we talked about, which is really cool.
Listen, slow down and focus on yourself. You gotta focus on yourself for a while. Slow down and focus on yourself.
also feel, Chris, like I'm calling them church bells panned off left, like single triumphant notes here that I'm hearing in chorus 2 that I'm not hearing in chorus 1 or the intro, which I attribute to maybe they're just mixed different here, those synths. Maybe they're up a little bit, and I'm thinking I'm hearing something because, again, there's a lot going on here. It's a huge production with a lot of stuff, and it's hard to discern some things.
It's crazy what those overtones can do sometimes.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. There are these weird overtones, and the more I listened to it, and I kind of was going to leave it in your corner here. By the time I got to chorus 2, which essentially you've heard a lot of obviously the progression because it starts off the song, but you've heard it 3 times here, and every time is different. And there's stuff moving in and out. So I thought that was really cool. And what do you call this next part? I know you referred to it as the bridge, but it sounds like a post-chorus to me, mixed with a bridge because of the refrain vocal of "Focus on Yourself," which is harmonized. It's panned off left and right, and it happens a lot here. Focus on yourself. You can pour it in a glass. Focus on yourself. You can drink it all away. Focus on yourself. You can force it down your throat. Focus on yourself. You could shoot it in your veins. Focus on yourself, or you could reach out to your friends. Focus on yourself. You could listen when they say, focus on yourself. There's a reason that you're here. Focus on yourself, and you could fight another day. Focus on yourself. Yeah, you could fight another day. There's a great rock and roll noodly guitar riff panned off to the right here. Who played that? Was that Steve?
I think it's Trev.
Okay.
Trev really did a lot of guitars on this song and was very creative with them, I think. So I don't want to not give, if it was Steve or Paul, I'm sorry, but I would think it's Trev.
I assume for some reason it was Steve. I guess it could have been Paul or Trevor. The drums go to this urgent double time snare groove here, along with bass, along with the guitars and the synths. Let's talk about this part. You know, obviously the hook is focus on yourself. Was there a discussion of, hey, maybe we just put this on the back half? Was it there the whole time?
You know, I had a missing demo. There was a demo between my original demo and then the demo where Steve sang. And I'm trying, and I'm not sure if I always had those focus on yourselves. It may have just been the main lyric there without those at first. And I think that's where, you know, the band is a sum of its parts. And I think that somewhere along the way, be it Trev or Steve, whoever had that idea, just thought of having that go along the whole time as kind of the response to each point made. You could pour it in a glass, focus on yourself. You could drink it all away, focus on yourself. It's kind of like the yin and the yang. Like, here's the bad thing you could do. You could drink a lot, or you could focus on yourself. I think there's a sort of back and forth in the first half. And then I think the second half is going back and forth between focus on yourself and something positive you could do. You could talk to your friends. You could do things to improve your situation, because I think that the one line in the past verse that I forgot to mention was like, sometimes you got to let it go before it puts you in the ground, and the things that weigh us down in the end don't weigh that much. I'm sure you've heard it before, Chris, that stress is absolutely the worst thing for you. Like, worse than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it kills people every day, for sure. Absolutely. I love this bridge part because, again, I said it kind of feels like a post-chorus. It's the perfect, no pun intended, bridge between chorus 2 and chorus 3. The continuity keeps going. It almost feels like it doesn't stop. Yes, it's a departure, but I feel it's more of a departure musically than it is lyrically, because you get that lyrical refrain of focus on yourself over and over. The last 2 lines here, we get a couple cool minor like vocal harmonies. They're killer here, as well as on You Could Fight Another Day. That's yet another filtered vocal before we get into chorus 3. The rock guitar lick panned off right. I almost feel like it's even a dB louder here in chorus 3.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's up a little bit, but it's not stepping on anything. It's killer. It continues over from the bridge and is here for all of chorus 3. Everything is in here. The lead vocal melody changes here, though, against that huge backdrop of vocals and instruments. It sounds like your lead vocal here, and correct me if I'm wrong, I get the vibe of, maybe the producers or yourself or someone in the band was like, hey, Chris, just go in and sing it 30 times different if you can. And then they maybe cherry pick some stuff because there's some interesting stretches here that you do.
I was recording my vocals with Paul. Paul and I were taking turns when we were tracking this at our friend Johnny's house. He has a studio at his house. We call it Tripwire Studio. Our other band, Another Cheetah, records there. But Paul and I were taking turns sitting at the computer, and the other person would go there. And definitely, Paul would say like, okay, on this track, just go wild. You know that thing. You've done it before.
Oh, yeah.
And
So was my instinct right on that? That's what it. And when I say that, I don't. It's not a knock. Like, oh, this sounds like the part where you just. But in order to sometimes get those things, like you're reaching for some melodies that are a little left of center here. They're a little odd, in a really cool way, though.
It's funny when you have those. I mean, you've had those before, right? Where the producer says, "Just go crazy, just do whatever," right?
Oh, I want you to scream till your voice is bloody. I've had him say everything. Yeah.
What's funny about those, and then you comp the track, and you take a piece of this take and a piece of this take or whatever. It's funny that when you do that, I'm sure there are things in there that are the worst thing ever. Like I went up to the mic not knowing what was going to come out of me, and I'm just like, oh my God, that was horrible. But I think
your voice cracks and all kinds of stuff could happen.
Oh yeah, and just like the worst melody ever comes out of your mouth. But you do find those little pieces of gold in there, or something that you would never do if you even had 30 seconds to think about it. You would have never even thought to do this, but then you're like, oh, that 5 seconds of that take that was otherwise pure garbage is really cool accidentally. And I think that there's some magic, there's some recording studio magic to that.
Well, as far as continuity with the track, chorus 3 continues that because those focus on yourself, harmonized backing vocals panned left and right from the bridge are now here. After the second line, and focus on yourself, we get that backing vocal. You got to focus on yourself. The third line, we get it there. And on the back half of chorus 3, and focus on yourself, we get one there. And you got to focus on yourself. And then on the For a While in chorus 3, it's a high note that is held out that takes us into, I'm calling this a coda, man.
Oh.
It's a 2-bar coda here at the end. The toms, it's a very cool tom part on the drums while the band rings out. And there's synths panned off left and a guitar that's kind of playing for these 2 bars as everything rings out over these toms. And one final lyric, slow down and focus on your, and self is just by itself.
Slow down and focus on yourself.
I like that. That made me feel a certain way because self is a singular word. There's no harmonies. There's no band on this. It's just you saying self. And I think that's a great exclamation point on the end of this track.
Thanks. I'm glad you liked that. That ending, that very end, that was Paul. That was Paul's idea. He heard that in his head and he's like, we got here. What do you think if we do this? And I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's cool. Hey, thanks, rest of the guys in my band, for letting the very last thing of our album be just my voice. At the end, like,
I like that.
My voice alone ends our album on this very much of a kitchen sink song. I mean, I think that's so funny that this song is, I compared it to that scene in Walk Hard. And then, funny enough, the song ends with one vocal saying the word self. Like, that's kind of, it's kind of funny.
No, it definitely wasn't lost on me. I picked that up, and I think it's a perfect way to put an end cap exclamation point on this song, which is from your brand new album, Somewhere to Land, your 10th album. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I'm very, very excited that it's finally out there. Hey, when you're recording and making your own album and you have unlimited time to work on it, that can really make things take a very long time. Never again will we do an album that way.
Famous last words. Well, hey, we're going to go talk about another band for a second, and we'll be right back to wrap this up.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes A Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's feature artist is Caught on Sight, a punk band from Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, who've been together since 2016. They have 2 EPs and 2 full-length albums, their most recent being True Colors, which came out this past June and was produced by none other than Corey Murrow of Punchline. Here's a snippet of their song, Bygones.
Coursing through my veins as I slowly wash away the memories inside my brain. Peace, love, and harmony. Just some more abandoned hope. I feel like I'm going to choke to think that I looked up to you, someone I thought I knew. It's fucked up.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
All right, Chris, I'm picking up at the end here. You usually come on for the rap. We were kind of going back and forth, like, should we do a rap? It's kind of weird. We just talked for an hour, but yeah, we're gonna do a rap. I'm excited for you guys. I'm excited that you keep pushing forward as a band. This doesn't sound like something that could have been on Action. This track, you guys weren't there emotionally. You weren't there with experiences, and now you are, and I think it's cool. I like the excitement that you have all the time. You're telling me, I went to band practice tonight. We wrote this new song we love. We're all excited about, and I've also heard you come home from band practice. Oh, we had one of those nights. I kind of had it out with one of the guys tonight, and that's part about being in a band. But, right before we broke a moment ago, you had mentioned never again, the famous last words of having the luxury to do a record like this. But I've said it before, the proof is in the final result, and I think this track's awesome.
Well, thanks, man. I just mean that, perfectionism and whatever, you could go on forever. A song can never be done. I think more of like, hey, we're going to spend these few weeks or this month in this studio with this producer, and when we walk out of there, the album's done. I think that's the way we'll do it from now on. And as far as, at this point, we are writing music as people in our late 30s to mid 40s between the 5 of us, and people that are experiencing the things that go along with that. And we're not young kids, and we're writing music that a lot of people our age can relate to, and it'd be nice if we were, but we're not getting rich from it. We're writing because we love music, because we're basically like family with each other now, and we have to. It's part of who we are, and we kind of put our real stuff out there in this music, and I hope that resonates with people in a world that's increasingly scary for artists, I think, with the rise of like AI music and stuff and just stuff like that. I hope that real heart comes through in music. If nothing else, that's what I could say for us, is that it's coming from a real place.
Heck yeah. Well, hey, check out the new Punchline record, Somewhere to Land. It is out now, and you know where to find us online, and go check out our Patreon as well over at ChrisDeMakes.com, where you can sign up over there for bonus episodes of the After Party and help us keep the lights on here at Chris DeMakes A Podcast. And I want to thank this week's guest. That's you, Chris, for being
it's me.
For being here with us. It only took us 5.5 years to get you in the hot seat. And we'll see everybody listening next week. Hey friends, have you been loving Chris DeMakes A Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
Hey, I'm Chris Fafalios, producer of Chris DeMakes A Podcast, and also host of One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. We've covered When in Rome, Jaquan, Shanice, Yellow, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Jesus Jones, Positive K, Mazzy Star, and hundreds more. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.
Doug. Limu and I always tell you to customize your car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. But now, we want you to feel it. Cue the emu music, Limu.
Save yourself money today. Increase your wealth. Customize and save, we say.
That may have been too much feeling.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Support for this podcast and the following message comes from America's Navy. The Navy offers new graduates hands-on training and experience in careers like computer science, aviation, and medicine, plus education and sign-on bonuses. Parents, help your grads start their career today at Navy.com.